You ever stop and wonder why life can feel like it's already been scripted? Why the same people, patterns, and struggles seem to loop like a broken reel, no matter how hard you try to break free? Somewhere inside you felt it, a strange tension between what you're told is real and what you sense is actually happening. This isn't just a poetic metaphor anymore. We're not talking about The Matrix as a cool sci-fi movie, but as a very real structure of perception. A simulation that's not coded in wires or digital servers, but in your own nervous system, your own emotional memory, and in the energetic field that connects us all. Let's start here. The Matrix isn't out there. It's projected from within you. That might sound wild, even a little uncomfortable. But stay with me, because if you really grasp this idea, not just with your mind but with your inner knowing, something shifts. You stop reacting. You start creating. The science? It's starting to catch up. Quantum physicists like John Wheeler and David Bohm proposed decades ago that what we call reality is participatory. That is, it doesn't exist independently of your observation. Reality doesn't just happen. It happens through you. Wheeler's famous words: "No phenomenon is a real phenomenon until it is an observed phenomenon." But here's where it gets deeper. Your observations aren't just what you see. They include what you expect, what you fear, what you repress, and what you believe to be true, often unconsciously. So if your inner world is full of fear, shame, or limiting beliefs inherited from culture, religion, childhood, guess what gets projected outward? A loop of circumstances that mirror those hidden programs. And that's the real matrix, not made by machines, made by energy, encoded in your body, reinforced by your attention, sustained by your unconscious emotional addiction to what's familiar. Let's pause here. Have you ever found yourself drawn to the same kind of relationship, even though it hurts? Or sabotaging yourself the moment things start going well? That's not weakness. That's the matrix trying to maintain its hold. Because energetically, the body seeks what feels familiar, not what's aligned. And if suffering is familiar, it becomes the comfort zone. The matrix isn't just external control, it's internal inertia. Joe Dispenza talks about this when he says that by the time you're 35, 95% of who you are is a memorized set of emotional patterns, beliefs, and behaviors. You're not living consciously. You're living a pre-recorded program. So here's the question. What part of you is actually deciding what's real? Is it your soul? Or is it a version of you trained to survive by pleasing others, playing small, avoiding pain? Now, let's flip it. If reality is being projected from within you, that's not just a trap. It's also your liberation. Because what you projected yesterday does not have to be what you project tomorrow. This is where real power begins. And it starts by withdrawing your energy from the illusion. From needing people to validate you. From playing roles you've outgrown. From believing every thought just because it feels familiar. In this matrix, attention is currency. Where your focus goes, energy flows, and reality follows. So ask yourself, what are you funding with your attention? What beliefs are you still paying rent to? What identities are you unconsciously sustaining because they're safer than being free? Look, this isn't about blame. It's about awakening. The matrix is clever. It camouflages itself as culture, tradition, even self-help. It'll tell you to hustle harder while keeping you too exhausted to reflect. It'll reward you for external success while numbing you to the inner silence you desperately need. It'll flood your nervous system with dopamine hits from social media, so you stop noticing the low-frequency anxiety you're swimming in every day. But deep down, you know something is off. You know you weren't born to perform. You weren't born to endlessly fix yourself or hustle for worth. You were born to remember. And that remembering begins the moment you stop reacting and start witnessing. The moment you say, I am not this thought. I am not this fear. I am not this loop. That's not just healing. That's rewriting the simulation from the inside out. Now take a breath, because we're just getting started. In the next movement of this journey, we'll explore how your nervous system stores and replays the simulation, and how trauma, identity, and energy all play into what you call reality. But for now, reflect on this. What are you still projecting that no longer belongs to you? And if the screen of reality is showing you the same scene again and again, maybe it's time to change what's coming from the projector. Your inner world is not just responding to reality, it's generating it. Let that truth settle. Now let's go deeper. Because this matrix, this internal simulation, isn't just a mental construct. It's felt, stored, replayed inside your nervous system. Let's break this down without getting too abstract. Every time you had an emotional experience, good or bad, your body recorded it like a file. And just like a computer keeps certain apps running in the background, you've got emotional programs still open, still running, still shaping how you see the world. Let's say as a child, you learned that love is conditional. That affection is given when you achieve something, please someone, or stay quiet. That gets stored not just as an idea but as a state of being. So later in life, even when you're conscious of your worth, you still find yourself overgiving, shrinking, proving. What? Because your body still associates safety with self-abandonment. This is what Joe Dispenza means when he says, the body becomes the mind. You might say, I'm done with that old pattern. But your body says, no, you're not. We're not safe unless we do it the old way. So what happens? You wake up, set an intention. You say affirmations. You meditate. You journal. And by 3 p.m. you're back in the same loop. It's not because you're weak or broken. It's because you haven't shifted the energetic signature that's been broadcasting the same signal to the field. You're trying to change the movie by yelling at the screen, instead of changing the reel. Here's the thing. Reality as we experience it is electromagnetic. You're too. Your thoughts send an electrical signal. Your emotions carry a magnetic charge. Together, they broadcast a frequency that shapes what you attract, what you notice, and what gets reinforced. So when you're stuck in resentment, fear, or shame, even if you're taking positive actions, the field responds to your dominant frequency. It responds to who you are, not just what you want. This is where things get personal. Ask yourself, what emotional states am I addicted to? Yes, addicted. Because just like a chemical substance, we become physiologically hooked to the rush of anxiety, the drip of self-doubt, the high of being needed, the low of being abandoned. It's familiar, predictable, and for the ego, safe, even if it's painful. So what do? We unconsciously recreate situations that trigger those states, just to feel something we've trained ourselves to live in. That's the matrix maintaining its frequency. Think of your consciousness like a radio. If you're tuned to a station broadcasting fear, conflict, scarcity, you can't access the frequency of peace, abundance, or creativity. Not because those stations don't exist, but because you're not attuned to receive them. Shifting your frequency isn't just about thinking positive. It's about becoming aware of what you're habitually feeling, and then interrupting that pattern with intention, presence, and new emotional signatures. Let's be clear. You can't create a new reality while emotionally anchored to your old one. That's like trying to build a new house while living in the ruins of the last, still clutching its broken bricks, still blaming the storm. And this is where embodiment comes in. You can't just know the truth intellectually. You have to feel it into your cells. You have to teach your body what it feels like to be free before your circumstances change. You have to feel the peace of being loved before someone loves you. You have to feel the expansion of abundance before money shows up. You have to become the new frequency first. Because the field, the quantum, doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. That's what makes this a real revolution. You're not fixing yourself. You're tuning yourself. You're not chasing the external world. You're realizing it's always been responding to you. Now you might ask, but if I'm doing all this inner work, why hasn't my outer world changed yet? Here's the answer, and it might sting. Because part of you is still waiting for evidence before you commit fully to the new identity. But the field doesn't work that way. You don't see it, then believe it. You believe it, feel it, embody it, and then you see it. This is why most people quit right before the breakthrough. Because the old self throws a tantrum. The body craves the familiar emotion. The ego panics without its old identity. And the matrix, being clever, gives you every excuse to stop. I'm tired. It's not working. I'll never change. But that's when you know you're close. When the system starts to glitch, it means the signal is breaking down. And that's your cue to keep going. To keep showing up as the new version of you, not after your reality shifts, but as the cause of it shifting. You stop waiting for permission. You stop looking for confirmation. You become the source. This is how you exit the matrix. Not by fighting it, not by escaping it, but by no longer being energetically compatible with it. You vibrate beyond it, and suddenly, the simulation has nothing to stick to. The same old people stop showing up. The same triggers lose their grip. The same stories dissolve. Not because they changed, but because you did. You remembered that you are the projector. And what you choose to believe, feel, and embody is the new film being cast upon the screen of your life. You're not here to react to reality. You're here to create it. But to do that, you have to stop outsourcing your power. You have to stop living in someone else's simulation and start writing your own. Let's go to the root now. Because all of this, the projection, the programming, the emotional loops, points to one essential truth. Reality is not happening to you. It's happening through you. And more precisely, from you. When people hear that, some get inspired. Others get triggered. Because if that's true, then you're not a victim anymore. You're not a prisoner of fate. You're the author of it. But that also means you're responsible for your signal. Not in a guilt-ridden, hyper-spiritual way. Not like, if something bad happens, I manifested it. No, it's deeper and subtler than that. It means you now understand that your state of being is the mold that shapes the clay of the quantum field. And your nervous system, your beliefs, emotions, habits, is that mold. So if you want to change the sculpture, you don't scream at the clay. You heat the mold. You soften the pattern. You regulate your inner world until the structure shifts, and the external takes a new form. Because it has to. That's not magic. That's resonance. Let's look at the science again. When you observe a particle in quantum physics, it collapses into a fixed state. This is called the observer effect. But what's less talked about is the intention behind the observation. The energy behind your awareness matters. If you observe your life through the lens of lack, fear, or frustration, you collapse it into more of the same. But if you observe it through curiosity, love, and presence, you open new possibilities. In other words, your awareness is the architect. And that's not just philosophy. That's physics. The field responds to the vibration of the observer. And your vibration is a reflection of your identity. So now let's ask the real question. Who are you when you stop being who the world told you to be? Who are you when you no longer need to please, prove, or protect? Who are you when you unplug from the trauma that shaped your nervous system? Because that is the key. The matrix isn't just an illusion of the world, it's the illusion of who you think you are. It's the version of you built on survival, reaction, conditioning. And it served its purpose. But it's not the truth of you. That truth, that authentic frequency, doesn't chase. It creates. It doesn't beg. It attracts. It doesn't conform. It expands. But here's the twist. The matrix can't be fought. You don't defeat it by raging against the system. You dissolve it by no longer participating in the lies. You transcend it by embodying a signal that's incompatible with its patterns. You upgrade your inner operating system, and the outer simulation has to adjust. And yes, it takes time. Yes, it takes practice. Yes, it takes relentless self-awareness. But most of all, it takes honesty, radical honesty, about where you're still looping in stories, where you're still seeking validation, where you're still outsourcing your power to systems, people, or outcomes. Because the real revolution is energetic. You don't need to convince the world of anything. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone. You just need to become the clearest, most coherent version of your true self. And that coherence will rearrange your reality. So here's the invitation. Stop chasing. Stop waiting for the external to give you permission to feel whole. Instead, close your eyes, breathe, and tune your body to the version of you that already exists on the frequency you desire. Feel it, embody it, practice it daily. Not to escape the world, but to remember that you are the source of what you experience. You are the architect of the matrix you're in, and you can rebuild it from the inside out. That's not a metaphor. That's your inheritance. So don't just wake up. Stay awake. And if this message sparked something in you, leave a comment below and let me know what you're shifting. Subscribe if this kind of truth is what you live for. And share it with someone who's ready to unplug and remember their power. Because this is not the end. It's the beginning of a new simulation, the one you chose. And this time, you're the coder.